Hello everyone and welcome to this video. My name is Cristina Aroche and I am the Archangel Channel, and I am so excited because today's video is something very different than anything that I've ever done before, anything that you've ever seen on this channel before. And what I'm doing in today's video is actually interviewing one of my past students. Her name is Angela Young, and she is just such an incredible, beautiful soul. And, you know, in this interview, you get to know more about Angela, get to know more about her journey, her experiences, her transformation. And for me, my intention with these interviews is to really help you and inspire you to see the different journeys that people have walked and to show you how anything is possible for you. And so in this video, which you will see our interview in just a few moments, we talk about all things regarding the spiritual path, the spiritual journey, and I am just so excited to introduce you to her. And so before we begin, I want to share a little bio from Angela, which I will read to you, and then we'll take it away. So Angela is a spiritual healer and a mentor who has brought together her starseed origins together with her deep connection to the angels to provide her clients with transformative healing. And Angela actually, like I said, has completed the Angelic Healer Certification Program under the mentorship of yours truly. And she recently actually left her corporate job and career in science to dedicate her energy to being of service to others as a spiritual healer. And so through the transformative healing processes with the angels and other beings of light, Angela aids her clients in deep soul level healing to access their authentic divine power and to live the life that their soul intended. And I'm just so excited, like I said, for you all to meet Angela, to hear about our conversation, to listen in, and to really experience this transformation. So here we go. Okay, here we are. Yay, welcome. I am so excited to introduce you all to Miss Angela Young. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so excited to have you here. And, you know, I've known Angela for, I don't even know, like 3 years now, I think it's been, right?
I'd say
And
at least.
yes, and we walked such a beautiful, amazing journey together. And so to have you here today to share more about you, share more about who you are, your journey, your growth, like it's just such an inspiration. And a lot more people need to know who you are. And so I'm so excited
Thank
to have
you.
you here today. So welcome. So to start off, if you want to share a little bit about you and kind of what was that key catalyst that got you started on your path today of who you are? Because I know that who you were even 5 years ago is not the same person who is sitting in front of me today. So if you want to share a little bit about you and share a little bit about what started you on the spiritual path and what started you on this path of becoming a healer, I would love to hear about it.
Oh, thank you. So definitely what the catalyst for me on this path was trauma. And that's really what kind of started my spiritual awakening. And so it was in this place of trauma with my marriage falling apart that I started to I needed answers. I just didn't understand why this was happening to me. And I didn't understand on kind of like this deep level. And it was almost my soul was just like, I need to know more. We need to know more. So I kind of started reaching out to healers and to channels, and eventually, with following the breadcrumbs that the universe leads, I found my way to you. And it was working through that trauma and opening it, and kind of concurrently, and I wasn't expecting it at all, but opening up to my own abilities and my own and discovering that I too am a healer. I'm here to be a healer and to be of service to others. I had no idea about that when I just knew in the moment, I was in pain and I didn't want to be in pain anymore. And I wanted to understand what all this meant, the bigger picture of why this was happening to me. And so I just started following breadcrumbs. And so it was from that place that I found myself to you and your programs, and where I really just started opening up to, you know, myself as a soul and my my calling. So that's really kind of how it started, how I got from A to B. And it was, if you would have asked me 5 years ago, when I was that different person, if I was going to be leaving my job behind and becoming a healer, I probably would have laughed very heartily in your face. But it's you have to just surrender to the fact that the universe has plans for you. You know, your soul has plans for you. The universe has plans for you. And when you stop fighting it and you just give into that and just say, okay, I'm just going to follow these breadcrumbs, because with each breadcrumb I pick up and I follow and it leads me to the next one, I just feel more and more aligned with myself and who I'm meant to be and who I'm meant to become.
Yeah, and that's such
Mm-hmm.
a huge part of the journey, I feel like, with in terms of, the experiences that we all go through, we all have different challenges, different traumas, different situations that really bring up, like, really kind of, it's that low point that we hit, and to
Mm-hmm.
be able to pick yourself back up, and not just pick yourself back up, but to really from that be able to discover who you are and to discover your calling and your
Mm-hmm.
gifts and your abilities when that wasn't probably even your intention from the beginning, right? Like you're like,
No.
I just need to heal and I need to grow
Yes.
from this and I need to understand. And it's like, oh, I wasn't expecting this, and I feel
Yeah.
like that was a similar thing for me too, where I wasn't really expecting to be told you're a channel and you're a healer and all these things by the angels, and then you end up, like you said, the breadcrumbs lead you there, which I think is
Yeah.
just so beautiful. It's so incredible.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you kind of, and it almost in the moment, it feels illogical because it's like, well, no, I have this, this very steady job and career and, all these things. Why would I leave all that behind to like pursue
Right.
this thing that I had it wasn't even on my radar,
Yep.
a few years prior, but it just feels so good and it feels so right. And you just start kind of letting go of the logic and whatever, and you just start doing with you start going with what feels right and just following those. And then the breadcrumbs, with each breadcrumb you pick up, another one is placed, and then another, and then another, and another, and to the point where you only want to follow the breadcrumbs, like if there's no breadcrumb, then you're like, well, I'm not going there. So
Yes, yes, exactly, exactly. And that's one of the things too that I've heard from a lot of people, because we have a similar type of background in the sense of coming from the science world and then moving into total like spirituality and channeling and healing and all of those things. And some people were like, whoa, like that's such a huge shift and huge change. And so I think for me, it has always felt kind of like a natural progression. Do you know what I mean? Where it's like you said, like first you follow the breadcrumbs and then all you want to do is follow the breadcrumbs. So, and I think that's a huge, like, the fact that you took that leap of faith to leave your established career, in science, like the logical, all of that, to pursue this, that's such a huge such a huge shift and huge transformation, and I think that's a lot what a lot of people strive for. They're like, wait, you're
mm-hmm.
telling me I don't have to stay stuck in this job? I don't have to stay
Yeah.
stuck in doing this logical thing or whatever. Do you know what I mean? So,
Mm-hmm.
if you could think back to that version of you who was still at the job, or still kind of like maybe in that moment where you were maybe considering it, but you're like, I don't know, or, whatever, like, what would you say to yourself back then? Knowing what you know now, becoming who you've become now, like, what would you
Yeah.
say to yourself in that moment? The version of you,
Oh,
like, I don't know if I should leave this job yet, or I don't know if I can do this. You know what I mean?
it would definitely be something along the lines of permission to just go for it.
Yes.
I found giving myself permission
Mm-hmm.
to feel a certain way or to let go of certain feelings and fears. It's like permission to whatever. So I tend to do that often. So it's like, and give yourself permission to just do what feels right. And for me, that job, it had served me for a long time. That career had served me for a long time, but it just wasn't feeling in alignment anymore. And I was just feeling this pull to be of service to others. I felt like doing that work, I was not really being of service. And there was, just this pull to be of service to others. So it's essentially just giving myself that permission and, you know, it's going to be okay. And also having trust in that the universe will not let you fall. So
Mm.
if you are feeling from that deep place of being called to do something else, and even if you don't know exactly what it's going to look like, because I had no idea what it was going to look like, but just like that feeling of, you know, this doesn't feel in alignment anymore, but it's, you know, it's got all these perks, and the logical thing to do would be to keep doing this. But, you know, you have to remember that if you're being called to do something else, especially something that's being of service to the, you know, to the greater good, you know, to humanity, then the universe is not going to let you fall. So just kind of having faith, having that level of trust in
Mm-hmm.
yourself and in the universe, and just kind of saying to yourself, it's okay. And you might face judgment for this from whoever, from your family, from your coworkers, from your friend. Like, yes, you might get some judgment,
Mm-hmm.
but you know, at the end of the day, people are going to think how they're going to think, and you just have to do what feels right for you.
Yep. Yep. I
Mm-hmm.
totally agree. And that, I think that's a huge, like you said, like that permission. It's
Yes.
giving ourselves that permission. So huge. And, you know, I think sometimes we don't even realize how we box ourselves in
Mm-hmm.
to a certain way of being or a certain identity just because we
Yes.
feel like we should, or because, like, you know, of that fear of what are people going to think, what are they going to say. And I think
Mm-hmm.
ultimately at the end of the day, like, you know, I know that you've experienced this, I've experienced this. Our mind likes to create these worst case scenarios. Like, people are going to
Yes.
say all these things and they're going to think all these things, and then you're like, and then you come out of this, you know, spiritual closet,
Yeah.
and people are like, wow, that's really like interesting. Like, I don't really know too much, but like that's
Yeah.
cool, you know, and are way more supportive than what our mind likes us to think they're going to be like, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
yeah, but you don't know that until you take the leap of faith. You don't know that until you just go and
Mm-hmm.
make that jump, you know?
Yeah.
So,
And
yeah.
it's so much harder to the lead up to making that jump and making the
Yes.
decision is so much harder because
Yes.
of the fear is so intense. And then
Behind it. Yeah.
when you finally just do it, and I remember when I came out of the spiritual closet on social media, and I remember I had it all typed up, the post, and then the moment I hit send, I just remember was like, okay, and
Yeah.
it's done.
It's out there.
It's out there, and I felt a sense of, I felt more freedom and excitement, and than I did anything else, and it was almost like, whew,
Yeah.
okay, all right. That was the hard part was
Good.
pushing send.
Yep,
or
exactly. It really is.
post, should I say, you know?
Yeah.
So, and all the lead up, and the you know, like the, oh my gosh, what are people going to think, what are people going to think, you know, that was way worse than when it was out there, and I got so much positive feedback,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, it's okay,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
safe to just speak my truth and be who I am. And you
Mhm.
know, people are going to judge, let them. And I know my truth, and I know who I am, and that's okay.
I love that. It's so, so
Yeah.
powerful and just a huge testament to, you know, you getting to that place on your journey. And so, you know, obviously
Mm-hmm.
along your journey, you've come across many different lessons, many different challenges, many different things that you've had to work through. And so, you know, is there any kind of something that stands out in your mind in terms of a pivotal moment along your journey, along the way, where, you know, the lessons that you've learned, or the wisdom that you've gained throughout all of this, that has really supported you the most? Even though I know that's sometimes hard to pick and choose which one, you
I
know, but like
know.
anything that stands out that you feel called to share or to,
Mm-hmm.
you know, guide people with in terms of something pivotal that happened.
Regarding pivotal, whether it was a single moment or just, you know, cumulative moments, definitely one of the things that has really, really changed who I am and how I show up in this world, in my you know, as a family member, as a everything, um,
Mm-hmm.
is once I've in working through my own trauma and going through trauma, and in leaning in and doing the very hard work of healing on
Mm-hmm.
various levels, it
Mm-hmm.
has allowed me a new sense of empathy and compassion for other people.
Yeah.
And it's with that, in doing my own work, it has helped me to see others now through the eyes of compassion instead of the eyes of judgment.
Yeah.
I used to be quick to judge. You meet somebody and, say they're having a bad day. And so instead of kind of thinking, oh, that person's not very nice, instead I look at that person and I just empathize for that moment and say, wow, they must be really hurting.
Mm-hmm.
And I look at them, you know what I mean? And I recognize that. And when people are projecting and when people are, you know what I mean? Instead
Yeah.
of taking that on and being like, oh, they don't like me, or, oh, you know what I mean? They're saying hurtful things or whatever, and taking it personally and taking it to heart. Instead now I'm just like, wow, they're really hurting.
Mm-hmm.
And instead I have compassion for them and I see them through the eyes of love. And I still try to see their light instead of seeing whatever they're projecting in that moment, because they're carrying all of this weight that they don't even realize they're carrying. Because
Yeah.
that's the thing. What I've learned through doing my work is, I was trying to heal from a particular trauma that was happening to me in that moment. But when I started to lean in and peel back the layers, I realized I had all kinds of other traumas
Yeah.
that were there from childhood, from past lives. And I was like, whoa, I've been carrying some heavy weight that I had no idea about. And you know what I mean? And it was happening and showing up in various ways in all kinds of avenues in my life. And it just helped me to realize that, we are all carrying a heavy weight. And so so now I no longer judge people at all. I never see people through the eyes of judgment anymore. I'm instead, I look more through the eyes of compassion. And I feel like for me, that has been the biggest game changer. And it allows me to show up for myself and for others in such a better way. And I feel like it's almost like a liberation now, because
Mm-hmm.
I'm just, instead of walking around with negative feelings about, oh, this person said this to me, or I don't know, whatever, I can instead just be like, I'm going to send them love.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll even ask if, they need to talk or whatever, and just hold a bit of space for them. And you know what I mean? So that's how it's like. So it's not so much a single pivotal moment, more so just pivotal shifting
Yes.
in
Oh, I
in
love that. So
in
good.
how I show up.
Mhm.
And I'd say it's really that, because there've been so many pivotal moments on this journey, and each one has been so important, but they've all just kind of really led me to this one place of just realization that, we're all carrying weights that we don't even know about, heavy weights
Yep.
that are kind of bogging us down, and, kind of holding us up on our path, and holding us, kind of hostage from being aligned with
Mhm.
ourselves.
Mhm.
And so just kind of in digging in and learning how to peel back those layers and let them go, there's a liberation, there's a freedom in that. And that's been kind of the biggest overall game changer.
I just love that so much. And it just that touches me on so many levels, I feel like, because not only is it, like you said, like a liberation for you as an individual, but
Mm-hmm.
it's also, I feel like, an extension, like it extends out as a liberation for others as well, because
Yeah.
now you are in a place, especially as a healer, especially as a spiritual leader and a mentor for others, where you now extend that out for them and hold that
Mm-hmm.
space for them. And
Mm-hmm.
I find that that makes such a huge difference for other people, people, clients, and people that we work with, to hold that kind of space of compassion
Mm-hmm.
and love, where they can feel absolutely safe because of the space that they're held in, while they learn how to navigate how to feel safe within themselves. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So it's like you through your work, through your healing, which, by the way, I just have to say, I've always been so in awe of like how you just like look at things head on and you're like, we're healing this, like we're not we're not messing around here, like I've always just really love that about you. And so, for you to be able to go through your process to create the sense of safety within yourself, in terms of who you are, in terms of your being, in terms of you being able to be your true self, and hold yourself and others in light and in love,
Mm-hmm.
now people get to experience that while they're going through their healing process. Do you know what I mean? And this is like that
Exactly.
ripple effect. This is the
Yes.
trickle effect of how we're all here to just help one another and hold that
Mm-hmm.
space for one another. And I think that
Mm-hmm.
ultimately is such a huge huge part of the healing journey and a huge part of our healing as a collective too. You know what I mean? It's not,
Yes.
it's less about this is what you need to do this, do that, blah, blah, blah. And it's more of like, I'm going to be here to hold space for you as you go within and
Yeah.
through me, it's okay. You're safe, you're supported, you're loved. And then people can really begin to harness that energy within themselves too. You know what I mean? So I just love this
Exactly.
so much. It's so good. Oh, so amazing. And on this topic, on this conversation of like the collective healing and how we're all evolving and how things are shifting in our world, obviously, for me, one of the things that I feel really passionate about that I'm just like continue to hold in my vision in terms of like for me and for this world is really about how we're going through this collective evolution. And even though it might feel like it's slow, it's happening and we're here for a reason to help support that. So I'm curious to know about what vision you see for yourself. What vision do you see for the collective, how things are unfolding? You know what I mean? Like through your experiences, people that you've talked to, all of that. Like, what's the vision that you feel you hold for you and for the collective?
The vision I hold for me is essentially to keep showing up every single day for myself and for others. It's like there's no phoning it in,
No, can't call in sick from the universe. Sorry, not doing it today.
Do that by showing up even in the little ways every single day.
Yeah.
And even if it's just holding a little bit of space for this person or smiling at somebody or whatever, it's just like just keep showing up and just keep like putting that love and that kind of high vibrational energy out there. And for the collective, really and truly, knowing how I feel now in doing the healing work that I've done and peeling back the layers and continue to do. I don't sit here, healing is a lifelong journey.
Yep.
And I do work every single day and I never stop working. And, and I'm always grateful for when I have triggers now, I'm kind of just like, okay, I'm triggered. I've got work to do and it's okay. So I almost am thankful for the trigger because then it just shows me it's like, okay, we still have work to do and we're just going to keep plugging away at it bit by bit. And so for the collective, it's very much my kind of vision is that everybody can, first of all, connect with and recognize that they are worthy. They were born worthy. We are all born worthy. And we are worthy of love. We are worthy of experiencing joy. And we are worthy of living our best life. And in my experience in doing the work that I've done is to live your best life is really, you got to dig deep and do that healing work. And you've got to dig in and you have to face those fears. You have to face that shadow. And if you do that work, then you are setting yourself free and you can just enjoy life and live from almost like a higher level, like I look back at the person I was 5 years ago and she was so unhappy and didn't really know it. And she was lonely and she, and she thought she was totally worthless. Yeah. And now, in doing this work and allowing myself and giving myself permission to believe that I am worthy, I am living a completely different life and I am a completely different person. And I could not even imagine going back to being the person that I was. So if everybody could just feel that energy and just know that it is so possible to just be your best self and live your best life just by going inward, this world could be a totally different place. Yeah. I totally believe.
Yep. I agree 1,000% with that. It's like we are like, it's like our own liberation, our own healing is what's going to liberate and heal the planet,
Exactly.
So I just love that. And I think the coolest thing is that we all get to be examples of that for one another. It's one of those, like, you hear those analogies of, when my light shines, it kind of helps to spark something inside of you, and then your light starts to shine, and then your light starts to shine, and blah, and it grows from there. And it's ultimately, like you said, it's not necessarily something that I'm specifically doing for you. It's me becoming the best version of me, you becoming the best version of you, et cetera, that it's like creates this sense of freedom for other people to experience what it's like to be the best version of themselves too, you know?
Exactly. But it does have that trickle effect,
Yeah.
it does
Yeah.
trickle down. So I feel like by stepping forward as my best version of myself and in that energy of love,
Mm-hmm.
I am doing somebody a service, and whatever, even if I just brighten their day just a little bit, and you can shift somebody's energy just by even doing small things, or by, doing like healing sessions or whatever, like it's,
Yeah.
even little things can have such a large impact, and then it snowballs, and it's something I wish more people would give themselves permission to open up to and to access.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's a lot of people walking around, and I was one of them, walking around out there like holding on to fears and holding on to traumas and holding on to feeling victimized, and you think that keep it, for some reason it gives you a feeling of safety if you hold on
Yeah.
to these things. But really and truly, when you let go of all of that, and especially for me, I found being like letting go of being a victim,
Mm-hmm.
it is just freedom. It is just pure freedom.
Yes, it freed you to be who you were always meant to be, which is just
Exactly.
so beautiful and so powerful and just such an amazing light in this world. Oh my gosh, I just love this so much. Good. And one of the things that, obviously in terms of our work together and how we
Mm-hmm.
connected and all those things, one of the main ways was through the Angelic Healer Certification Program, although there were other things along the way
Yes.
and afterwards as well. But what would you say in terms of like that specific program, or what you learned from it, or who you became as a result of it? How did it support you to be who you are today? How did it support you to, step into this role that you're in now? Like, if, anything that stands out to you around that.
Yeah, it absolutely gave me the tools that I needed to essentially show up as a healer,
Mm-hmm.
and to very different, like various aspects of healing, and how you can be of service in that regard. So it was definitely very much uh, the necessary tools, and then the one-on-one coaching aspect that went with it was
Mm-hmm.
really what helped me. So in addition to, the program itself gave me the tools, and then the one-on-one with you is what really helped me to kind of pick through the fears, and you know what I mean, to kind of get through the noise and allow myself to believe that I was worthy of being
Yes.
a healer, that I am here to do this work,
Yeah.
and that I am capable of doing it, because I think a lot of us, and I struggled as well, you come into spiritual work and you think, well, if it doesn't look a certain way, then you know what I mean, then I'm not meant to do that kind of work. For instance, in my brain, I always thought, oh, well, I didn't grow up talking to dead people the way some people do, like they see
Mm-hmm.
spirits, and that wasn't my experience. So therefore, I didn't think that I was meant to do that type of work. You think it's supposed to look a certain way. And what I learned is that uh, you are powerful and you have all kinds of skills, abilities that you just haven't accessed yet. And it
Yeah.
doesn't have to look a certain way. And it really just gave me that freedom to just say, hey, yes, I am a healer, and yes, I am spiritual, and yes, I am a channel. And it just looks this way. It looks my way.
Yes.
And it really gave me that ability, because I remember in the beginning of the program, I just remember feeling nervous, but oh my gosh, like what if I really can't connect with the angels, and what if I can't do this, and what if I can't lead somebody in a past life regression, you know what I mean, like all of those things. And you're like, oh, and then you show up and you do it, and then with your support, you are very good at holding that very supportive, loving space. And I felt so safe,
Mm-hmm.
and in that I was able to just open up and kind of dispel the fears, and to just lean in and go for it. And so it was really game changing,
Oh,
very, very game changing. And I love, and obviously I love that there's a certification, and I love that, like, yes, I am a certified angelic healer. And like, I love that I can, I'm mentored under somebody, and you know what I mean, like I really love that. That I don't know. I loved the formality of it, but I also loved the informality of it as well, and being able to just kind of, you know, feel my way through it.
yeah. Yeah, I love that. And thank you so much for
Mm-hmm.
sharing that, because I think for me, like as my intention for people who do the program, I'm like, I
Mm-hmm.
want you to feel the most liberated version of yourself as a healer, as a channel, as who you're here, who you're meant to be. And so
Mm-hmm.
when I was developing the program, one of the things, the key things that I always was like standing by was, this isn't, a rigid system that you have to follow
Mm-hmm.
specific rule or the specific way of doing it. Otherwise, you're doing it wrong or whatever.
Yes.
I learned through my own experience, there's no wrong way. It's your way. So
Mm-hmm.
to hear that from you is like so incredible, because that's ultimately always what I have always wanted it to be, and what my intention has
Mm-hmm.
always been. So,
Yeah.
it's just amazing to now witness that, the result of that
Yeah.
being expressed through you, through who
Yes.
you are, and that who
Yeah.
you are as a healer coming out of this program is going to be different than anyone else. And that's the point.
Mm-hmm.
That is the
Yes.
point, that each person is unique as they come out of
Mm-hmm.
it.
And the
Um,
program also, it really also helped me to recognize that, you know, and you do address it in the program, that kind of, you're going to have strengths in some areas, like, the whole hearing, seeing, knowing, etc. Like, you're going to be stronger in some of those areas than others, and that's okay. And you're learning how to lean into those
mhm.
areas where you're strongest and really work with that. So it wasn't so rigid, like exactly what you said. It wasn't rigid. It was very much like, it teaches you how to lean in to your own strengths and really work with those, and to grow them and nurture them. So I really appreciated that as well, because up until then I felt like, oh, if it doesn't look a certain way, then I'm just not meant for this. I'm just not cut out for this.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it was really game
I
changing.
love that. That's amazing. That's amazing. And so, for anyone who it might be considering this program, who might be kind of interested in taking that leap, someone who's like, okay, I know that I'm meant to do something more. Maybe they're in a career that's like, this is not for me. I'm ready to switch, and I know that I'm meant to be a healer. Know that I'm meant to be a light worker or a channel in some way, and they're considering taking this certification. What would you say to them? Like, what would be a piece of advice that you would tell someone who's considering signing up for the program?
If it feels right, if it feels aligned, because it's all about alignment, that's what I've learned. If it feels aligned, if there's something that just feels really warm and safe and right about it, then do it. Um, this is where you have to let go of the logic, and also don't be afraid to invest in yourself. That
Mm,
is one of the biggest things I've learned along my journey. Is I know often people get afraid of, like investing in themselves for something like this, because I knew that if in going into this, that there would be possibly a career change. And so I looked at the investment of it as okay, well, if I were to say to change my career and go back to school, I'd
mm,
be investing in myself that way. But
mhm,
this is just, not, this is different from going back to school. So I just kind of looked at that as, okay, well, I'm investing in me. I'm investing in my personal growth, and I'm looking at this as a possible career change. So I'm just going to let go of that fear, and this feels right. It feels aligned. So I'm just going to give myself permission
mhm.
to kind of step forward in that, and show up for myself in that way.
Oh, I love that. I love that so much. It's that
Mm-hmm.
conviction of like, I get to show up for myself in this way.
Yeah.
I love that so much. And it is a huge step. It is a huge scary thing,
Mm-hmm.
especially like you said,
Yeah.
when you look at it from the perspective of, it leads to a potential career change. It leads to so many other
Mm-hmm.
things. And the ego's like, what do you mean? What are we doing? Like, what? But it's like,
Yeah.
it's one of those things, like you said, when you follow your heart, when you like, that will
Mm-hmm.
never steer you away from your path. It'll never steer you away from what's meant for you. So
Mm-hmm.
that's
Exactly.
amazing. Such great advice.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank
Mm-hmm.
you.
Yeah.
So I have one last question for you.
Yeah.
And then
Definitely.
the last question for you before we kind of close this off is, if you have any last parting words, anything that you feel that you just want to share, something like anything specific of, kind of like this, you had to leave people with this one thing or this one sentence or whatever, what would you say to them?
Mm. You are worthy.
Yes. So good. Simple, to the
Yes.
point, so good and so true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So true. I love
Mm-hmm.
that. So good. Well, I just want to say thank you so much, first of all, for being here, spending this time with me, sharing about your journey, your experiences, who you are. It's been such a delight, and I'm so excited for everyone to feel this connection to you. So thank you once again for being here. I really appreciate you. You're
Well, thank you so much for having me. This was wonderful.
Yes, absolutely. And so, for anyone who is wanting to connect with Angela on a deeper level, get to know more about her, all of these things, you can find her on Instagram, the Archangel Healer. And I'm going to have all of the details for this in the description below this video. So, you don't have to memorize anything. Go check it out. Her bio is in the description. Where you can find her is in the description. So you can find all those details there. And once again, I want to say thank you so much, Angela, for being here. I love you. You're incredible. And I'm just so grateful that we get to walk this path together.
I
It's
know.
just amazing. So amazing.
Yes. Thank you. And I love you too.
Yay. All right. Thank you, everyone. I'm sending you so much love and angel blessings, and we will see you in the next video. Bye. Okay, so that was the interview with Angela Young. And again, like I shared in the interview, I'm just so grateful that she agreed to come on and to share her light, to share her truth, to share her energy with all of us today. So I would love to hear from you in the comments below. Post in the comments below, what was the biggest takeaway, or what was the thing about, anything that Angela mentioned that really stood out to you, or that you really resonated with, or that you have experienced for yourself. Let us know in the comments below. I cannot wait to hear from you. And then the other thing is that the Angelic Healer Certification Program is currently enrolling. The doors are open for a limited time. This is a program that, I don't always have the doors open. So if this is something that a calling in your heart to step into your purpose as a healer, you're ready to trust yourself in a deeper level. You're ready to really step into this confident energy in terms of your connection, in terms of your truth, your purpose, who you are, to step into the world, to be seen for who you are here to be, then come join us. You can find all the details about the Angelic Healer Certification Program in the description below this video. You can also find the link to the program itself in the pinned comment, or if you're watching this on Instagram, you can find everything in the link in my bio. So all the details are there. Doors are closing soon. I cannot wait to support you if this is something that you feel called towards. And that's it. So if you know anyone who needs to hear this message today, then please feel free to share this video with them. If you know anyone who would be inspired by this journey that Angela shared with us, then please share this video. If you enjoyed it, then please give it a thumbs up. And then of course, if you are not subscribed yet to this channel, then definitely subscribe so that you do not miss any other future videos. And so that is it for today. Thank you once again for watching and for sharing your love with Angela. Let's just share our love for Angela in the comments below. Thank you. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.